is like, don't take our word for it. Just try it for 10 minutes. And if you don't go, holy cow, what is happening to me? Then that's all there is to it. That's all it's going to take. You know, I mean, the comments alone, people are just having incredible experiences, and it's undeniable that it's doing something to you. You know, some of the solfeggios, if you play them loud, if you don't think about them for sleeping, just you think about them as medicine. Just play them really loud and try to sit in front of a system, a good sound system for 10 minutes, and just see if you can do it. Just see if you can even manage it, because your whole body is going to start to vibrate. And it's really intense. It's really, really intense, especially if you're not used to it. And it feels good. It feels great.
You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hello and welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. Always a blessing to present another show for you. Well, we're going to go into frequency again today with the fabulous Phi Tribe, Ford and Mix Mike. Welcome to the show, Ford and Mike.
Hey, how's it going?
Thanks for having us, Karen.
Listen to that beautiful, they've got the best mics, that beautiful sound, that beautiful
Yes.
sound. When you're on a podcast show, you can't, doing Zoom, you can't always, control what people's sound sounds like, and your sound is amazing. So great to have you on the show. Brandon Thomas from Expanding Reality introduced me to you, but I had heard about you before. As I was saying, I used to run a conscious radio station, and I think we played some of your music there. Because you've been doing it for a while, right? But yeah,
maybe so. Yeah, it's been a while.
We've been at it for a while. It may have been under another
different names.
Yeah.
But this is like the third or fourth time we've tried this, and we just reached we were too soon. That's really what it was. We were just too soon, and we hadn't learned enough, I think, and we had a couple things fail, and this time it just really resonated with people and took off. It was crazy.
Wow.
Really amazing. Like 120,000 subscribers in like a year.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's just talking about the expansion of consciousness throughout the collective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
But let me tell people a little bit about what we're going to talk about today and who you are. So I'm going to start with Ford. Ford is an American award-winning music producer, songwriter, and visionary. For more than 25 years or over 30 years, Ford worked in the music industry with some of the most famous recording artists in the world, including Michael Jackson, Jennifer Lopez, Mick Jagger, Britney Spears, P. Diddy, Christina Aguilera, Brandy, Jewel, love Jewel, she was my savior when I was young, and many others, earning her an RIAA production credits on more than 35 million albums and nearly 1 billion YouTube streams. She's been named president for 3 record labels, including Nebulous, Atlantic in 2001, Peaceman Music 2007, and currently Phi Tribe, a conscious record label dedicated to transforming music into a healing modality for the betterment and upliftment of mankind. Ford is the author of 2 books on consciousness and existential philosophy. One is Becoming God, 2005, and part 2, which is just released this year, called The Devil is in the Details. I love the name of that. Remind me to ask you about that. The Devil is in the Details. Anyway, through extensive research, Ford has applied the esoteric wisdom of sacred geometry, frequency, and vibration to create an entirely new way of thinking about music. And Mix Mike Pritchard is a recording producer, a record engineer, esoteric researcher, and science nerd who has spent a huge portion of his life dedicated to learning the art of record making and all things music. During this journey, he discovered the 432 hertz frequency and alternative tuning and temperaments, which opened up a new avenue of learning and application. The mystery of 432 and how it applies to and connects music, science, maths, and geometry and philosophy became an obsession. I love that it became an obsession.
Very much, yeah.
That eventually led Mike to connect with legendary producer Ford and the development of Phi Tribe. And you've got here Phi Balanced technology.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which is now being used to help people worldwide battling anxiety, PTSD, insomnia, and more. Yeah, it's a healing frequency. The work of Phi Tribe is truly awesome and important. Music tuned for well-being. Phi Tribe Music is an exciting new Psycho Acoustic Technology. Am I saying that right?
Psycho Acoustic Technology.
Got that wrong. Mathematically tuned and Phi Balanced to be in harmonic alignment with nature's golden ratio, the symphony of the cosmos. Phi Tribe is also a place to escape the dissonance of standard tuning and the constant negative mantras in pop music lyrics today. Yeah, hallelujah to that. So you can find Phi Tribe on YouTube, and you've got a stack of music on YouTube that people can listen to for free. And so you just go to @Phi Tribe, spelled PhiTribe. And is that your main website, or you also have Ford? You also have a website? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Phi Tribe is the main website. Ford Productions is my personal website, and my personal channel is Ford's Playground, and Mike's personal channel is
Mix Mike. Yeah, we also have a website for Phi Tribe too. It is PhiTribe369.com. So you can find us there too.
Mm-hmm. Phi Tribe 369.
Yes.
Why 369?
Oh, we can get into that. That's
we can talk about that. It's a little bit of a rabbit hole, so maybe we don't want to dive in immediately.
All right, okay.
That's the deep end of the pool.
We can get to that for sure.
Remind me later, because I have all these questions, and then I kind of get into the conversation. I forget, so I want to talk about the books, and I want to talk about 369. But what I want to know, or what we all want to know, is Ford. I'm going to go over to Ford, working in the film industry with all these people. I think idolize this whole celebrity drama that idolize pop stars and turn them into gods, and it's kind of like the mainstream royalty, isn't it? They sort of idolize pop stars. So what was it like working in the film industry, not the film industry, sorry, the music industry, and then finding, like, what was your spiritual awakening? How did you discover all this stuff?
Oh, and it didn't happen overnight. It was a slow awakening. I was very deeply immersed in the music business and the culture that went with it, the drugs, the parties, everything. I was deep in that side of it. But I was also really fascinated with higher sense of order, philosophy, physics, that kind of thing. And I had a couple of glimpses already by the time I was 30, year 2000. I think I already had a couple of glimpses of the truth. Really hadn't put it together yet. And in 2005, I wrote a book about it to kind of help me sort it out, I guess. I had all these different ideas about what I thought was going on, and just in writing things down was helping me sort things out in my mind. I didn't know it was going to be a book when I did it, but after I had it together, I was like, oh, this should just be a book. It was helping me. And shortly after publishing the book, I had what I would consider my breakthrough experience, that holy cow moment, where you come face to face with the eternal nowness, the eternal present beingness of what is, and realize for sure who you are and what you are. And it's no longer just a phrase that you sort of understand or something you read in a book. It becomes a direct experience. And that was a very life-changing experience. And that really set it off from there. Went down the rabbit hole of esoteric studies. I met Mike along the journey. And we knew that we had to find a way to wake people up through music, because I knew how powerful music was, and I tried relentlessly to get the music industry. Like, I had such a relationship. I could just walk into Sony and walk into the vice president's office and be like, hey, I have this idea, And but even with all those connections and with a track record of success behind me, I couldn't get any of my friends at any label to be like, let's do this. Let's make a record label that was for the betterment of mankind, raising consciousness, doing, the thought came from, I started getting into yoga, and after I woke up, and I was like, yeah, there was just cool music to listen to on the way home, because you go to yoga, you decharge, and you just kind of get this even feeling. But it was a 30-minute drive from the yoga studio at the time back to my house, and I would want to put something on. And I felt like when I put like pop music on or whatever I was listening to, it would just bring my whole energy down. So that's where the idea kind of came from. Let's create a label that would present these songs that would elevate people, but no one in the industry wanted to hear about it. So we just tried doing it ourselves. And this is the third time's a charm.
Yeah. Third time's a charm.
So when you first attempted it, people weren't listening to it. People thought, nah, not interested in it.
Yeah, it was hard to get people to understand what we were trying to do. It's hard to get a spotlight on you these days, especially with all the other noise, and you're competing against record companies with $1 million budgets.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, it was hard. And I think when we started getting deeper into the science of it, we realized, whoa, this is much more than just better lyrics and elevated mood. This is like actual medicine. This is really doing something to help people. And then that flipped the whole thing up inside of its head. That's where it really just took off, realizing that.
A lot of people have said that about the pop music industry. Like, okay, so I've got a friend, she's in her 70s, and Tina Turner just left the planet the other day. And she was saying to me, she's obsessing over her because she saved her life when she was young. Like, her music saved her life because she was going through some hard times, and Tina Turner's music saved her life. So a lot of people feel like that about pop music or music in general. What do you want to say about that? And yet it's kind of it's on a different frequency, which we'll go into.
Yeah, I mean, you set aside the frequency and set aside the message of the lyrics. Music is like a cue that anchors a moment in our time. Like we can always mirror a song to some great moment or some tragic moment. And when we're reminiscing about our past, a lot of times these songs pop up. That's what we're attached to, because it's anchored in music. It's like another way of experiencing the present moment is through music. So if there's a really incredible moment and then there's a song that's around that time that reminds you of it, you'll anchor yourself in it. So I think that's where the novelty of music comes from, essentially. And then there's a sense of wanting to discover something new. So we are always looking for something new to listen to. At least a lot of people are. I know a lot of people that get stuck in their old playlists from high school too. So people go other ways. But I think, music is it's always been a part of our culture from the beginning of history. And I think that what we've done is we've lost touch with what music is actually used for. Like we've turned it into this thing called entertainment, but I think for many, many years, music was the healing motif. It was you went to church to heal, not to pray. It was you'd be bombarded with these sounds and these geometry, and you'd heal.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. If I may just add to that. I think that music is already a conduit for transcendent experience already. That's something that we take for granted in our modern society because music is so common and we see it and hear it all the time. So we lose this sense of reverence for it a little bit. But with that, people go to concerts for these, essentially transcendent experiences. They want to experience something that they can't otherwise experience in their day-to-day life that may raise their consciousness or vibration to some degree. So music is already a conduit for that. And I think what we've done is said we recognize that, and we want to use that in combination with science and frequency and numbers to bring that all together into something holistic, that it's not something separate, because there's a lot of sound therapy stuff already out there, but a lot of it is just tones, very basic tones, just exposing you to the frequencies. But we wanted to make it an experience and not just these tones. And more so, we didn't want it to just be music. We wanted it to also be backed by the science and study of sound healing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Before we go into the frequencies, let's hear like how you came across this and your sort of awakening experience.
Right. My story is definitely different than Ford's. I mean, I do have a lot of experience in the music industry, but my awakening was a kind of alongside my experience or dive into the music industry. So I came from a lot of Christian music is my background. I played a lot of with a lot of big churches many years ago, and had a lot of success doing that. And got out of that, but knew it through that experience that, you know, I could see that there's that there's something to music being a conduit for transcendent experience. That was big in my field of vision, if you will, already. Coming from church and praise and worship music, but I didn't really resonate exactly with everything the church was doing or saying, or the things that they were having people believe. So I stepped out of that. But my big awakening came after that. I got into a lot of the science of vibration and cymatics, which I found very stimulating and interesting. Yeah. But just knowing that the sound could have effect on physical matter really interest me, and the implications of taking that further really interest me. So as I started diving in deeper and coming across more people that did geometry and mathematics for like spiritual science or physics, metaphysics, that kind of thing, I realized that there's a big connection, and 432 came into the picture very haphazardly, just kind of got thrown into the mix, where, you know, it was kind of this conspiracy theory of, oh, music has been tainted and 432 is the natural frequency. And I was kind of like, let me mess around with this. And regardless of the conspiracy, what I found was that there really was something to 432, whether, you know, it had been changed away from 432 or used to be 432, that was kind of not relevant to me. But the mystery of that it's actually having a positive effect or a more substantial effect was something that really grabbed my attention. And I really started diving into that pretty deep. Shortly after I met Ford, actually, we had kind of come in, we had met each other and just did some kind of music stuff together. And we realized that we were both into very much the same thing. We were both into esoteric stuff and just asking why. That was the biggest thing, is we both ask why a lot. And we both wonder a lot of things. So, you know, that was a big driving force for us to kind of put our minds together and you know, dream up a way to bring everything together into one thing.
Oh, I've got so many questions. When you say, I want to ask, I'm going to ask a couple of them, but I'm going to start with one.
Sure.
I want to know if there's any pop sort of music that uses the 432, but I also want to know, when you say you're in the Christian church and you're playing in big churches, were you playing in those mass sort of arenas where they have those big Hillsong type? Is that
very much so? Yes, that was I did a lot of that. Not with Hillsong, down there with you, but others. Yeah, Bethel Church and Destiny Church, some other big churches around the U.S. So I did that for a while and traveled around and played a lot, and then I kind of got out of that, but through that was kind of the opening of the door into music being a conduit for, like I said, transcendent experience. Being a part of the church and seeing people having these transformative experiences during the music portions of the church services was something that really fascinated me, and I knew there was something to it. I just didn't know what it was. It didn't feel like it was exactly what I was being told it was, or at least not in fully, at least. And so understanding that whole thing was something that really drove me to get into what is now Phi Balanced or Phi Tribe.
Phi Balanced. Yeah, because I think I was telling you before we started the recording, I was running a conscious music radio station.
Right.
And before I was podcasting as well, but I started on radio down here. I don't know what it's like in the States, but the Christian music is huge, and they've got their own radio stations. Yeah. It's just huge. And I was wondering why it was so huge. Is it because the lyrics are more positive, or is it the frequency they're putting out? Like, because it's sort of country and pop and rock, and it's the same sort of vibe. It's just Christian music. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a few things. I think it does have to do with the uplifting message and also the uplifting music. The music is usually very positively oriented, so there's, you know, that pull already in it. but also they do kind of have a built-in audience. So I think there's that aspect of it too, is that these churches are kind of acting as record labels for their artists or for their worship leaders to be as artists. And so that's kind of, it's a little bit of a different model in terms of a lot of the other music business. So I think it's a combination of those three, but it is very much in part, very much to do with the fact that it is uplifting already. It's an uplifting message. It's not really necessarily a message of self-empowerment, which is where I disagree, but with the message, but it is an uplifting message. And so I think that captures people, and that people can get lost in that experience. And when you're getting bombarded with music at a loud enough volume level, it starts to vibrate your body, which causes all kinds of physiological things, so I think they're using that, but at the same time, I don't think they're fully informed with exactly what they're doing. I think they found something that works and they just do it because it works. It's not because they know the reasons behind or the science behind why it's working, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Would you call your music conscious music?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I would say so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use that term because that's what we used to call it when I was running the station, conscious music. And it was slow to take off, and I didn't understand why. Like, I saw the pop music industry go crazy, the Christian music industry go crazy, but the conscious music industry and so many artists that wanted to uplift the world and sing inspiring, uplifting, empowering messages were just struggling. Do you think it's turning? Like, what's happening? Either of you want to answer that?
Yes, I very much think it's turning, and I think that's kind of our goal. Is the biggest thing that we've realized is, like you said, there's a lot of artists out there trying to do this unsuccessfully, and I think the biggest reason is they don't have the infrastructure. They lack the infrastructure, and that's a big portion of what we are trying to do, is be that infrastructure for artists like that. So part of what we do is we find other artists doing this, and we try and feature their music on Phi Tribe as well, their commercial music. So it's not just sleep and meditation. It's also trying to make this like a lifestyle and more of a not just conscious music, but I don't know of another word to use.
Well, like you said, you hit it on the head. It's a lifestyle. Ultimately, we have music for 24 hours a day, regardless of whatever it is you're doing. And eventually, we plan on having cooking shows and just all kinds of shows about philosophy and just ways to incorporate what we're doing. What we're doing to the music can be applied to anything you can think about, because everything is math and everything is geometry. Mm-hmm. So this little thing that we've uncovered with music of how to organize it in a particular way that has a specific ratio between the parts that work together. And when you learn this ratio, it's really, really simple. When you learn it, you start applying that to all kinds of things in your life, and you're going to find that it's miraculous. You're going to see all kinds of miraculous changes in your life. Suddenly, you're going to be like how the Zen masters say, you're living 4 feet off the ground, and you're just floating through life, and everything's just coming to you because you're in the current of the universe, for lack of a better word, And that's what this music does. It brings you there, whether you are in that place or not. It's going to just totally bring you into that place.
So it puts you in flow state.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So getting back to that question, because I've got so many swirling around my head, about is there any pop music that is being sung at that different frequency? Maybe Ford, do you want to answer that?
Not that I'm aware of. Nothing that's been done anything significant that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's people recording in 432, but like Mike is saying, there's no infrastructure to organize it all. So you've got this island over here doing 432 and this island over here doing 432. So we're just kind of each in our own island. And where Phi Tribe is different, we want to be the infrastructure and the collective, a place for all of these artists who are independent to come to one place and still own their master, still own their lives and their names and all that, but have one central place where people can come to find, and they know that everything on this place is going to be of higher conscious in nature, whether it's frequencies or whether it's the lyrics, empowering lyrics, or just the messages or what the artist is all about. It's just creating that vibe. That vibe can go a long ways if we collectively put it together.
Okay, so when we're listening to Phi Tribe music, we're listening to a lot of recording artists. We're listening to many people, not just you guys making the music.
Yeah, there's a collective of us. For the most part, it's stuff that Mike and I have produced independently, and brought. Like, we work with artists all the time who we think are good fits for Phi Tribe, and then we bring them into the Phi Tribe fold. Because, like you're saying, this is an awakening. There's an awakening happening, and more and more artists are coming to me wanting to have this kind of message. There's just no one in the industry saying, "Yeah, that's cool. This is a good idea." No one's saying that. So we want to be that one voice that's saying, "Yeah, do this. This is what's cool."
There is actually a couple of songs that have been released by major artists in 432, but they're not artists that are making music specifically only in 432. Like, they're the regular recording artists, and they just happen to do a song in 432. So I know Childish, the American recording artist Childish Gambino, released at least one, if not two, songs recorded in 432, but they weren't marketed as that. They just happened to be that, and that wasn't any kind of point of importance or anything like that. But we want to change that. We want to make that a point. Yeah, that it is a point, that hey, music is great as is, but there's also a better way to do it, and that's kind of what we want to show people, is that there's an even better music, a music 2.0, for lack of a better term.
Okay, so can 432 be pop as well? Because I've listened to a lot of the music, and it's sort of very meditative, music on the YouTube channel. But there's obviously a lot of music on there. I haven't listened to all of it. Can it be like pop and rock and
pop and rock? We've got a huch playlist of about 80 songs that are pop rock in nature. alternative or EDM. So it totally could be applied. Absolutely.
I didn't realize. I thought
nobody's doing it.
I thought that if it was 432, like the different frequency, that it would have to be like this, have you heard of Paul Avignon? He won a music award. He plays all that sort of, I don't know if it's 432 music. It was before I understood 432. Actually, Eric Rankin, Sonic Geometry, was sort of educating me about it recently. Before him, I didn't really understand it, but I'd love you to go over it. Like, what's the difference between 432 and other frequencies and solfeggio? And
just to put it simply, it's geometry. It's to realize that music and mathematics and geometry are one and the same thing. And when you can also realize that chemistry is also geometry, and so is biology. So can you see how they're all foundationally one thing? And that one thing that's the foundation of it all is music. Right. So when you realize that music is the foundation of everything, that frequency and vibration, as Tesla says, is the foundation of everything. When you realize that, there's a way to build the foundation of music. You can make it like a hut, where you got these sticks and you're tying it together, and it's kind of wobbly and doesn't have perfect form, right? That's what I would call normal music that you're listening to that's on the radio, right? But our music is foundationally integral. So imagine the foundation of the song being like a brick building with perfect geometry, hard, solid surfaces that are going to be there to secure and protect the integrity of the song. When you start from the ground up using these geometric principles, suddenly the song has got this integral value to it. And what's interesting is that when you have music done like that, through a process called sympathetic resonance, that I'll let Mike get into in a second, but essentially the frequency of the music vibrates against you, and it will pull you into that frequency when it's done correctly. And when you're pulled into that frequency, you're in what's called flow state. And you're just there, and everyone knows, everyone can relate with flow state. Everyone knows what that feeling is. It's perfect. It's such a great feeling. Who doesn't want to be in that place? Even if you're having a crummy day, pulls you right out of it.
Yeah, it's like being in the eternal now, out of time.
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
In the moment. Yeah, Mike, what do you want to say? Mix, Mike.
No, so like Ford was saying, normal music has, I guess, what you could call inconsistencies in the way that it's tuned, in order to make all instruments, or a lot of instruments, be able to play together in unison and all be tuned together. We created a system a very long time ago in order to do that. And more recently, there have been many attempts since then to make a more geometrically perfect musical scale. And very recently, a man named Robert Grant has created a very, very geometrically perfect tuning system. And so we utilize this system amongst many others. But the point is that, like Ford said, it creates this foundation that is more geometrically perfect. And the reason why that's so important is it's like the clarity of glass. Like you have glasses on. If the glass clarity, if it has a lot of imperfections and bubbles and pieces of other stuff in there, it's hard to see. You know what I mean? There's a lack of clarity in what you see. And so having that perfect grade of glass with no imperfections in it is very, very key to being able to correct people's vision. And that's kind of the same way that this works, is that the frequencies act like kind of like a tuning fork for certain aspects of your mind or body or psyche, all of those things, because all of those things are geometric and all scaled like music. And so all things are like music. And because of that, you can use music to steer certain aspects of your life or your thoughts or your emotions towards certain things or away from certain things. And we already know this. Like we hear music and it sounds really dark and brooding, and there's a reason why it sounds like that. It's because those musical ratios are the same musical ratios that are the same ratios that your emotions use to portray those thoughts. So by using a perfectly tuned system, you can tune emotions and thoughts to a very specific pattern. So like if I have PTSD or I'm suffering from anxiety, we can use frequency to take you away from that place and bring you closer to stillness or peace. Because those things are geometric forms. And so we can kind of copy that geometric form and then steer you towards that through the experience of the music.
Wow. Yeah. Is Indian or kirtan music, is that more, yeah, you're nodding your head. Is that,
yeah.
Do you think? Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think all music is an attempt for that. I think that's what music is in general. We have this interesting concept of music, like I said, because we take it for granted. It's this thing that's a part of our everyday life so much that it's just this normalcy. But 300 years ago, that was not the case. People didn't hear music all the time. That was an absolutely majestic experience. That was something that was so out of the ordinary and so unusual. We had reverence for it. But because we hear it all the time, we kind of lost that reverence for it. So because of that, we don't connect to the music like we used to. And so we want to create these experiences. Phi Tribe wants to create these experiences where people can connect into this music and use it as kind of music was intended to be used, is to bring you out of your current sensory awareness and into something both imaginative and new, and towards an endpoint, much like a story. A song is like a story, and your life is like a story, which is why the sympathetic resonance works so well, that concept of sympathetic resonance.
Yeah. I think that the intention of most kirtan is to bring you closer to the divine, because usually they're chanting the name of God or some gods or lots of gods. Because down under, we're closer to Asia and India. We've got a lot of kirtan going on. A lot, like I've got some friends, and I have a friend here, Ido, who started as a conscious pop musician with his brother. They were the Khan brothers. And I first met them because the same lady that loves Tina Turner, her son was playing in the band with them in a pub, and they were playing pop music, but they were singing uplifting, empowering messages. And this is before I went on radio, and I was like, oh my God, listen to the lyrics. And then both of them moved into kirtan, and one of them has started a thing called A Sound Life. So what he does is he takes music and mantra and yoga into hospitals and facilities where where people are dying or where people are challenged mentally, and he's playing this music inside these facilities to help soothe and heal and uplift. So maybe you could get Phi Tribe inside those facilities as well.
Yeah, so that's definitely the idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
We would love that.
I was thinking before we came on, imagine if you streamed it through jail systems or hospitals, like had it streaming.
Yeah. Who knows what, it could, I'm not sure the pharmaceutical companies would be too thrilled with that.
Do you think they even understand what's going on, or they just think
I think they totally understand.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. I would think so.
Yeah.
If there's just no way, it's very hard to package it up and sell it like a pill is the problem.
That's the problem. And I think that there is a deliberate degradation to music, popular music, and it's deliberate, I think, to lower our vibration,
Yeah, lots of that going on in the world has been up until now. But do you think that, like with A Sound Life, what they're doing is they're healing, but they're not packaging that with the hospitals. They're just saying we're just uplifting, giving people a nice experience.
We would love it. I mean, we would love to get as many people listening to this as possible, because the thing is like, don't take our word for it. Just try it for 10 minutes. And if you don't go, holy cow, what is happening to me? Then that's all there is to it. That's all it's going to take. I mean, the comments alone, people are just having incredible experiences, and it's undeniable that it's doing something to you. Some of the solfeggios, if you play them loud, if you don't think about them for sleeping, just you think about them as medicine. Just play them really loud and try to sit in front of a system, a good sound system, for 10 minutes, and just see if you can do it. Just see if you can even manage it, because your whole body is going to start to vibrate, and it's really intense. It's really, really intense, especially if you're not used to it. And it feels good. It feels great. And it's good for you,
Well, I don't know. I was telling you before, I don't know if I said it while we were recording, I've got my daughter's here at the moment, and she's got the flu thing going on. Yeah. And so I've got her upstairs on her iPhone listening to Phi Tribe. She said to me, "Oh, yeah. Can you give me a healing?" Because she knows I can heal. And I said, "Here you go. Listen to this. This will fix you." She's upstairs. Nice. She's upstairs at the moment listening to Phi Tribe. What was the Phi Tribe, the website Phi Tribe? What was it?
369. Yeah, 369. PhiTribe369.com.
Why 369? What's 369?
Well, Tesla had figured out through vortex math and numerology, basically, and that your audience will be familiar with numerology, that by adding up the digits across, whenever you landed on a 9 or a 3 or a 6, there was great significance with those numbers. And he called those the root numbers. I forgot what he actually called them, but
I'm not gonna lie, I forget what he
had a word for them, and I don't remember exactly what they were. But essentially, 3, 6, and 9 are very, very, very special, because the way things are become manifest happens in a specific order, and it's a very predictable way that things come into manifest. And if you think about a vibration, so you have like the vibration kind of goes up and down like this. This sine wave would be like this curving thing right here. So the 3 would represent the beginning of change, right? It would be the top of the beginning of the vibration. So as we move forward on the vibration, the 3 descends into the 6, because the 6 is the opposite of 3. We have to know our opposite to understand where we came from, right? And then through going from 3 to 6 and knowing that opposite, we have a new gnosis. We've realized something new, and that transcends us to the number 9. And the 9 is the beginning of that next crest of the vibrational wave. And this is fractal. The meaning of this is in every single thing you can think about, because everything you can think about is vibration. Everything. So when you can wrap your mind around the fractality of that, I should say, the 3, 6, and 9 hold a very, very special, sacred significance. And when you can do things, Tesla used to do things like he would walk around a building 3 times before he entered it if he was starting a new venture. If he knew he was in for a lesson, he'd do something 6 times. If he was to celebrate the gnosis, he would do things 9 times. And those are just simple ways that he applied it in his life. And what I can tell you is that through music, there's, if anybody's ever seen a recording studio, there's a million switches and knobs and all that kind of stuff. Well, all of those switches and knobs are mathematical ratios of something vibrational. And when you realize that and apply 369 and start to really, really wrap your mind around what this can be, the fractality of it is what makes all of this work. And when you can, I don't know how else to say. It's just it kind of, it kind of just you feel the experience. It's transcendent of words. What happens? It's transcendent of words.
So 3, 6, and 9 are obviously related mathematically. 6 is 3 times 2, and 9 is 3 times 3. And the importance of that, like Ford said, is the fractality nature of those numbers and the number sequences that follow, is that they're always being divisible by 3 constantly is very important because of the harmonic nature of those waveforms. So something that if you have let's just say you have a wave that is 27 hertz. Well, if you take that times 3 or divided by 3 constantly, eventually you end up, if you go times 3, eventually you actually end up at 432. So that's a big portion of why we use 432 and why 3, 6, and 9 is so important to us, because that number is in a sequence of a very fractal number sequence, which means that everything is self-similar on all levels. Everything is divisible by 3 or multiplied by 3. So that number sequence being so harmonically pure is the very important part. It's like preserving a message all the way through the sequence constantly without it degrading or degrading over time or over reiterations. And that's why it's very, very important, not only in music, but the gear and the stuff that we uses this same concept. A lot of components in music gear uses resistors and capacitors, which are a lot of times done in series of times 3 or divided by 3. So if you need to hit a certain voltage, you use times 3 or divided by 3 in order to get to these things. And that's and so that's really important to note, and to know why it is so philosophically important is because of the nature of the Trinity as well. And so that's kind of how the philosophical aspect gets laid over all this math and science, is the idea and ideal of the Trinity and its aspects all mirror that same mathematical concept.
As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking that this is information that the Star Nation Galactics know, hence their higher technology, what they can do.
Absolutely.
Like, this is information that gives them the ability to heal or manifest instantly, to propel their vehicles across the cosmos, to communicate telepathically. I mean, like, there is all of it, all of it is embedded in this sacred geometry. Have you heard of Jane mathematics?
Oh yeah, 108. Yeah, Jane 108.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, I love that guy. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you guys have a podcast, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Have you had him on your podcast? Be interesting.
No, but I would love to get him on the podcast.
I will introduce you to him.
That'd be awesome.
I'd love that.
Yeah, the 9, because I've been looking at 9, like 108. Yeah, 108, 1 and 8 is 9. The 9 seems to be the master number, and I think Jane says it's the master number 2. 27 is 9. 432 is 9. It all comes back to 9, which is like what we're going through collectively. It's that evolutionary process. It's moving out of one to the next stage, and then you start again, and then you, like, the evolutionary process, often known as change.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm a 999, like born on a 9 day and a 9 month and 9 year. And like my first husband would come home and I'd rearrange the house. Like, everything's changed, like, constantly. But yeah, it's changed. And that's what we're asking for. We're asking for change out of an old system that's kept us limited into a new expansive way of living.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. The whole thing is incredible. When we first started this venture, very few people were waking up. I think it was starting to happen, but like, it wasn't like it is now. It wasn't like, it
wasn't a cool thing.
Yeah, there's like we live in Atlanta, which is a pretty big city, and there was like one yoga place, and now there's a yoga place in every single shopping center. Yeah. Not that yoga is the cornerstone of what spirituality is, but it's a reference point to kind of gauge and see where people are. And I think it's fascinating because it's become very, very clear that people are on this awakening trend, and I think when they discover the music, who knows, it could really be something spectacular. We don't even know what it will do yet. That's how new and exciting this is, you know? I shouldn't say it's new. It's been kept hidden from us. This is known. This is known by the monks 1,000 years ago, 1,100 years ago, actually. The Solfeggio tones, which again are frequencies based on geometry and math. This is not like, these are not arbitrary numbers. They're based on angles. You know, angles, right?
Yeah.
And they knew about the power of these frequencies for 1,100 years, but the Vatican forbid them to be available to people. So until the last half a century, we haven't had electronic music, and the instruments were by design unable to play those frequencies with any sort of integrity. So that's why this is such a new thing, and this is why it's like, holy cow, this is kind of like an avalanche of this amazing information. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, and you know, the solfeggio tones themselves, you know, them being both mathematical, both angle related and you know, geometry related, they're also grouped. The numbers are grouped together in such a way that like the numbers themselves are like the numbers 1, 7, and 4, all the way they're shaped are all very much the same. They all use hard angles. And then 2, 5, and 8 all use round and straight angles, or round and straight lines together. And then 3, 6, and 9 all use very similar, you know, shaped things. And so it's also opening up an understanding of mathematics like we haven't really thought about them before. Math has been this very logic-oriented tool that we've used for a long time, but it's also equally as philosophical as well. And that's what we're starting to learn through the study of all this vibration and resonance and mathematics being tied into things like philosophy. That's kind of the next level emerging out. And you say we don't know where this can go, but we're also seeing a lot of people applying some of the same stuff we're doing to music. They're applying it to technology, and they're applying it to energy, and they're applying it to all these things. And that in itself shows you how fractal it actually is, or how pervasive and mirrored on every level that this is not just a revolution in music. This is a revolution in consciousness, everything, and energy, and the way we live our lives and think about things like math. And I mean, it revolutionizes everything when it's applied to everything.
Yeah. It's like left brain and right brain coming together.
It's unity. Yeah.
And that thread, sewing the two together, is music.
Right. Yeah.
That's the thread, sewing the two together.
Scale and ratio, which is music. That's what music is, scale and ratio.
The music of the spheres. I had a beautiful show last year. I don't know, this year, last year, who is an artist. She speaks to the angels, and she depicts solfeggio and she draws them. Solfeggio, like she draws these symbols, and the solfeggio frequencies through art. So what do you think?
The scientists who go ahead.
No, you go ahead. The scientists.
No, I was saying the scientists who really developed the scale that we're using, the Robert Grant guy. A lot of the things he discovered came through drawing these angles and all these different geometry is how he made the discovery.
Oh yeah.
So and he would say there's a lot of power in this new way that drawing unlocks your brain when you can do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talk about sound and light, like vision and hearing. It's kind of one thing to me, and people that have synesthesia have that understanding. I have a bit of synesthesia. When I hear music, I see light and jump, like I see codes. I can just shut my eyes and I've got a light show going on. So it's a bit like synesthesia. I had a guy on the show years and years ago, who fell in a swimming pool and cracked his head. And when he woke up from his coma, he had synesthesia, and he also started channeling all this music. And have you ever heard of that musician who was a young girl that went deaf, and then she thought her life had ended, and then she started singing by feeling the vibrations in her feet? And she went on, Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent or one of those shows, and she became uber famous in the last couple of years. Well, the two of them, this guy that hit his head on, I can't remember their names, it's all too long ago. I've spoken to so many people over the years, and they came together and created a song. and that I used to play on radio. Yeah, this synesthesia, sound and light. It's all one thing really, but we're experiencing it differently because of the way we perceive.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like light is sound, is a vibration, just much smaller and tighter. The vibration is much faster, but it is in itself just vibration. It's all one continuous thing. You know, we just perceive light as something else other than sound, but they are for all intents and purposes the exact same thing.
Yeah. Everything is the one vibrating at different frequencies.
Yeah.
So I think you've actually already answered this question. I was going to say, well, where do you want to see this going? But I think you've already said it. It's like, okay, here's a question. So I have a friend who's a musician and a singer, a beautiful singer, and she has a young son. When I say young, he's like 15 now and he's 6'4", who's on the spectrum. Is there a way, and he has these crazy outbursts and of violence and stuff like that. Is there a way of dealing with that through these frequencies? Can you just, you know, if you've got someone that, because I don't know if, like, depending on how far on the spectrum you are, but sometimes they're inconsolable. That word inconsolable, go into console. Anyway, I just thought about that. If you put these frequencies on, does it make a difference? Like, what are some of the healing stories that you've heard through people using the music?
Yeah, to a degree with autism, yes, it will help. In fact, these songs initially came from a study I did with the University of Miami, making music to treat ADD, ADHD, and mild forms of autism, and it was helpful for a lot of people. And we have a couple of PTSD programs on our site that, I mean, the comments would bring tears to your eyes, just people that would pouring their hearts out and talking about how much it's helped them and relieve them of the suffering from PTSD. They would go into these fits and they put the music on, and within 5 minutes they were calm. We've got another one for migraine headaches, people suffering from migraines. And keep in mind, people come to these, they think it's clickbait. They don't even think it's real. They come to it totally doubting and hoping, but doubting. And it works, and they're just astonished that it worked. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, will it help? Yes. How much it will help? It depends. I hate to say that yes, this cures anything. You know, it depends on the person, and everything is a degree. You know, but it will definitely help for sure. That I'm confident of.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Have you guys got any stories of how it's helped you physically or mentally or?
I've had some weird stuff.
My exploration in this has not actually, my personal exploration in it through my personal experience has not actually been aimed at things like pain relief or PTSD relief. For me, it was more things like lucid dreaming, out-of-body experience, that sort of thing. But through that, I found how much more useful it could be in other applications. So like PTSD or concentration or, you know, sleep, realizing that it could do things, you know, like help or increase lucid dreaming or out-of-body experience, that kind of thing. That being such a hard thing to normally, a hard state to normally achieve, and for it to help so much made me realize, like, oh my gosh, it could totally do things for pain relief and PTSD and sleep and focus, and like you said, with ADD, ADHD, all those things. It's a matter of just application, really. So I say all that just to say that my personal experience is aimed at a much different thing than what we're using Phi Tribe for, which is mostly just to help people with the things that they need help with the most, you know, which is very common things like sleep. Everybody needs good sleep, and transforming your life a lot of times starts with just getting good sleep.
Yeah.
So you've been using it like as a tool for expanding consciousness or awakening consciousness. So people that they can't meditate, you know, like, oh, I can't sit still. I get, you know, if they put on this music, it's going to help them focus more.
For sure.
Yes.
Or people that say, oh, I'd really like to be more telepathic. Like if you focus that, put on this music, it's going to help you more. Or people that say, I'd really like to have conscious out-of-body experiences like this.
People do. I mean, the stories we get are all the time. Incredible stories, out-of-body experiences. People have all these different crazy things. Shout out to Valerie if she's watching. She said that we saved her marriage. She said that she was just going through a really bad time, and then this music somehow saved the marriage to help their children sleep. And it was just so I've got a lot of comments like that. I mean, it's just endless what people are experiencing. Personally, I've had all kinds of really cool lucid dream experiences, like Mike is saying, that I find certainly fascinating. Because lucid dreaming is just something. It's it really makes you question just about everything when you start lucid dreaming, because you realize that your dreams are just as real as reality itself. You can knock on the wood, you can smell things, and everything is just as real. So what does that say about our reality? It doesn't say very much for it. So there's that. And then I've had interesting physical experiences too, like working on the 528. I was just seeing people with 4 eyes for days on end. And the most interesting to me thing is that oftentimes graphic artwork will look 3D to me now. And that has been a very new experience, and I totally attribute it to the music for sure.
Yeah. I'm thinking of ways to apply it. Yeah, so I think we have these lucid dreaming or out-of-body experiences every night, but we don't remember. So if we wanted more memory, more conscious memory of where we go at night and what we do and who we speak to, like a lot of people hang out with, dead loved ones, and then they'll have a bit of a remnants of a dream, like, oh, I thought about my, dead father, and they can't remember. But if you play this music before you sleep, and maybe when you wake up, it might help you with more memory of that, right?
Yeah, I think you'll go through it totally aware. And if anything, people complain, they're like, I feel like I didn't get any sleep, but I did sleep because I was dreaming the whole night. You're definitely getting the rest that you need. You're just awake through it and able to process it and play with it. It's pretty fascinating, really fascinating.
So have you got a sample that we can listen to?
Yeah.
Play something?
I don't. Do we? Oh, on the system?
I don't know if I have anything on the iPad here to play.
But just go over to Phi Tribe, and after your podcast, finish the whole podcast, watch the whole thing, give her a like and a comment, and then go to our page and try sleeping to one of our songs. And
check out the 432 Third Eye. Yeah,
the Third Eye, the Third Eye Chakra video. It's got over 8.5 million views. So people really, really love that one. It really provides the best lucid dream experience.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you've got them on the YouTube channel. You've got is it only on YouTube, or is it other platforms as well?
Right now, everything is free on YouTube, but we are moving over to our own website, which is PhiTribe369.com. And that's where we're going to put all the really, really cool stuff. We've had some major developments in the last few months, and so we're going to move that part over there. So we're excited about it.
You said that you started this and it didn't really take off. People weren't listening, and then you did it again and it didn't. And then, like, what happened? What was that progression? What happened to sort of, because like you've had millions of listeners at this point.
Because I was in the music industry for so long, I only saw it as something that we could do with the music through the music industry. And I kept trying to beat a dead horse and trying to make it happen through that. And it took 2 failures to realize that was never going to happen, that I had to do this independently with like minds who are very, very passionate about this, like I was. And that was the only way we were going to make it happen. So that was the lesson.
Yeah.
Don't beat a dead horse. Just start a new thing.
It's interesting.
Or it's just, oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, it's hard to change an industry from inside an industry. Yeah. If you become a part of the industry, it's hard. It's nearly impossible to change that. Yeah. And so I think that's, philosophically speaking, I think that's the biggest thing is we couldn't do the work from inside the industry. That you can't fix the problem with the same kind of thinking that created the problem.
Exactly.
So we had to be outside of that entirely in order for it to work. Yeah.
Exactly. I see this so often. People that come from their corporate career and now they want to help raise consciousness. And so, like, for instance, I had a meeting with a girl the other day she put on mass events here in Sydney, like music events and art events. And now she went through an illness and awakening, and now she's helping my friend put on love festivals, right? But she wants to bring this wealth of corporate experience into this space, and it doesn't work. It's like you say, you can't make something different with the same thinking. Even though her career was very successful and these events were very big and very successful, her life wasn't successful because it made her sick. And then she had operations, and she was so sick, and she's actually not quite over her illness, but the sickness was her spiritual wake-up call. But we can't bring that same mode of operating into the conscious space, because we operate completely differently, because that way of operating is based on competition and separation, and unity consciousness is based on unity.
Right. Collaboration,
and not so much chasing the dollar. Like, the music industry is just so, I would imagine, Ford, that when you came out of the mainstream music industry into this space, the dollars sort of didn't flow as fast.
No, that was very frustrating. But I was sick of it. I couldn't really do it anymore with a straight face anymore, and the music business is nasty. It's a nasty place there. It's a very chew you up and spit you out kind of a business, and especially if you have a different idea. As soon as you start thinking about different ways of doing things, then they just cut you off,
Yeah.
So that's been interesting to watch happen, but it's been beautiful to grow something on our own, and just planting a seed and watching it pop and grow and turn into this amazing thing like that. There's the satisfaction in that I can't even describe. It's really, really awesome.
So let me ask you, if you're offering all this music free, how are you making a living from this?
Good question.
Great question. Yes, we're sure.
People donate to the channel. There's no commercials if you're a YouTube subscriber, but if you don't have a YouTube subscription, there are commercials. So we get paid off of that, albeit very little money, but it's enough to keep our operation going. And really, we're doing this from the heart, because we know that this will eventually turn into the biggest thing on the planet, and we're all banking on that. We know we've got something big. It's just a matter of it just scaling. Everyone who finds it is just mesmerized by it. So we just know it's a matter of just getting it in the right hands and getting people to hear it. Yeah.
Do you put on events like music events, or that's I mean, people in the music industry, like I said, I was running a conscious music station. The biggest complaint was that they were trying to sell their music and people were downloading it free. So a lot of them said, I'm not going to make money selling my music. The way I make money is through putting on events and then charging ticket price.
Events we would definitely want to do that in the future. That's something we're hoping to do very, very soon.
Well, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it really would be. It would be. I think people want events too, where they can meet other like-minded people, and not talk about crazy things without people going, "Oh, that's crazy," or "What's wrong with you?" That kind of. It's important. It's important. Community at this stage of the game is very, very important.
Yeah, which is the intention behind Love Fest, is to raise the consciousness through love, but also for people to find each other that are, on their spiritual path, and they look around and they're friends. Like, nah, we don't get what you're going through. And so you go to a Love Fest event, you get to drum, you get to sing, you get to dance, you get to meditate, or whatever they're offering, and you get to meet people that are all into it.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful thing, and we're looking forward to doing that. We really are.
Is there anything that you'd like to share with us before we go? Anything you'd like to tell the people listening?
That's a great question. I wasn't prepared for that.
I wasn't prepared for that either.
I would just say that I think what I would like to leave the listeners with is that changing your life is much easier than you would think. And it starts with a very small action step. And sometimes that action step is making conscious decisions. And sometimes it's just as easy as the things that you fill your life with. So the music, your entertainment, your food, and the amount of exercise you get. So changing your life is really not as difficult as you might think. And what we want to do is help give people those tools to help transform their lives. And so that's a big part of Phi Tribe, like we've said many times, is we want to help people. And so that's really what I want to leave people with, is that it's much easier to do than you might think.
Yeah, totally.
I forgot to ask you about the devil is in the details. So if you could address those, your last word, and why is the devil in the details?
Because the truth of the moment is it's just here and now, right? It's just here. It's the miracle of the here and now forever. Mm-hmm. There's no tomorrow. There's no yesterday. There's just this present moment. That's it. And what happens is we're not comfortable with that. We're not comfortable just accepting the fact that it's a miracle and how beautiful and amazing that is. We try to justify our experience with details. Oh, my name is this. I'm a father, or I'm a son. I have a job, and this is what my career is. Or I'm married, and I'm this person, or I'm a wife, and I'm a mother. I'm a nurse, right? All these different things and we create this whole history. We create this whole history about ourselves from the present moment to justify the miracle of the present moment. That's why I say the devil is in the details. It's in creating those details, you're creating the devil. Because the truth is the center. It's eternally here, it's eternally now, and it's eternally love.
Beautiful. Well, that's a beautiful note to end on. Was there something else that you wanted to say before I interrupted you?
No, I think we'll end it on that. That was pretty good.
That was a good one.
Yeah. That was really good. Oh, guys, it's been such a pleasure and a joy and an honor to meet you. And it sounds
likewise, Karen.
It sounds like you're doing amazing things, and Brandon's, helping you guys out. He was so excited to meet you and have you on his show. And then he said that now he's working with you guys. It sounds like you've got a lot going on, and
yeah, he's a gem. We're grateful to have him.
Yeah, he is a gem. I had him on the show. I had him on the show last week, and I think I just laughed through most of the show. It was so funny. We started with cat butts, and then we went into unity consciousness. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. But I so look forward to see what else you've got in the works and where this goes. It sounds amazing. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Share the word. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thank you.
How wonderful to meet Ford and Mix Mike for the show today. Yeah, fascinating. I didn't get into, I suppose lots of people would ask, tell me about Michael Jackson, tell me about all these people, these famous people you work with. Not interested in that conversation. Sorry if you wanted me to ask those questions. I'm interested in the expansion and upliftment and awakening of consciousness, which I think their music is doing. But what I found fascinating is to hear how it's exploding lately. It really is. I think 2012 was an explosion of consciousness. Lots of people waking up, having NDEs, having spiritually transformative experiences, going through their spiritual awakening. And in the last few years, the same thing is happening. There is a mass awakening happening, and consciousness or awareness, people are becoming more aware of who they are and what's possible, and sacred geometry or divine geometry or whatever you want to call it, and how the whole physics of the cosmos works, which is kind of exciting. So we have to throw out the old way of doing things and bring in a new way of doing things that is more expansive and expands our ability to perceive this world in new ways. Yeah, to perceive this environment, this third dimensional, this fourth dimensional, this fifth dimensional, to move in dimensions outside of the limitation that we've been experiencing. It's exciting, and Phi Tribe is all a part of that plan. So since, excuse me, since finishing the show and talking to you now, I went upstairs and checked on my daughter who's not feeling well, who I left with her iPhone and the Phi Tribe YouTube channel. I said, listen to that. That'll help you feel better. And I said, so did you listen to it? How do you feel? So she goes, yeah, I do feel better. My feet were vibrating. It's interesting when you listen to music coming out of an iPhone, it's not like it's coming from these big speakers. Her feet were vibrating. So that's pretty cool. So let me know your experience. Go over and check out the YouTube channel. It seems to only be on YouTube at the moment. I think we're going to get them up on other platforms so that people can watch them on other platforms as well. In the conversation I had with Mike and Ford afterwards, they said that they're just going to start doing podcasting on audio platforms so you can listen to their podcast, and the music obviously on audio platforms like Spotify and SoundCloud and You Listen and all those millions of audio platforms, whatever platform you listen to your audio podcasts on. So that'll be interesting, because I have to say, in the last year or two, my audience has exploded on the audio platforms and not on the video platforms. So it's been interesting, really interesting. But the visual effects that they put behind the music is beautiful also. And I was interested to see that it's not just meditative sort of droney type music, that it is, you know, funky sort of music, that it's music, all types of music in this new frequency or different frequency to the frequency of normal pop music and rock music and normal music that we hear on our radio stations. So I asked them if they wanted to maybe contact the big radio stations down under and have a conversation with them about it, because dropping a few celebrity names opens doors in the mainstream media. I put on a Peace Day festival 10 years ago next year, and I had a contact in the mainstream media, and he said, yeah, we'll have a conversation with you. He put me onto another guy, and all the guy wanted to know was there any celebrities involved in it? And I said, not really, but we do have an artist who has traveled the world, Peace in 10,000 Hands. He's traveled the world putting white roses in people's hands and taking photographs of them, and a lot of them have been celebrity. And that was all the guy was interested in, the celebrity. He wasn't interested in Peace Day or peace or raising consciousness. He was only interested in celebrity. So anyway, Ford's got a few celebrities behind her. She can open some doors with those contacts and then talk about this stuff, so that sort of opens the doors in the mainstream media. I said, yeah, reach out to those big radio stations and talk about it. I don't know if they'll play your music because they're contracted to play music with, I think the way that mainstream radio stations is they have, I don't know how it works, but it's all money and contracts and stuff like that. But it'd be interesting to get this consciousness out there in a bigger way, in a much bigger way. The world is awakening. All right, I'm not going to chat too much longer. I'm going to go and have some breakfast. And thanks again for listening and watching and sharing the shows. And let me know what some of the effects have been as you listen to the music on Phi Tribe. Send me an email or put your comments down there. I'd love to hear what you thought and what you think about all this 432 hertz and solfeggio, and what's your input. Love to hear your input. And remember to join up to the Inner Sanctum if you want to join our online group. Just go to karenswain.com/innersanctum, pop your email in there, and I'll send you. Lots of people have done it, and I send them the Zoom link, but only few people turn up. Anyway, go figure. You offer things for free. That's what happens. It's actually by donation. So I do ask for donations, and a lot of people do donate. It's lovely. Thank you for the people that do donate. I really appreciate it. And if you want to donate to expanding consciousness or awakening consciousness, I'm always happy for your donations. You can find a link under this podcast or vodcast or video podcast. And remember to check out the book Awakened by Death if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time. Big love. Bye for now.